The concept of divination systems, some of which involve reading signs and omens, take a more deliberate approach. They are designed to generate coincidences that do not rely on external events, which can then be interpreted. This concept lies at the heart of Ifa divination. With an open mind, my curiosity led me to sit down with a prominent computer scientist at the University of Lagos, Nigeria, to discuss the Ifa system. The following is the video that is a part of our conversation about Ifa, and I invite you to listen with an open mind. I hope you'll find something valuable to take away from it. Enjoy!
Ifa system in Yoruba land. I read the paper,
Yes.
and although I don't have background in either computer system or Ifa system, but it's very interesting.
Thank you.
I was able to read all the papers in all honesty, but what I would like to do is maybe give us like the people that might watch this discussion later on, give us like a very simplified background of what IFA system looks like, and if there's even any chance that this culture IFA system could. I know computing in the world has already gone, and the IFA system unfortunately did not kind of like improve upon. But what could we do? Yeah, that's what I want to discuss in this particular.
Oh,
part.
great.
Yeah.
Well, I think the last questions, the last point you raised,
Yeah.
very, very germane. And of course, in one of the lectures I did, I was to discuss the use of AI tools for research. So I now mentioned that most of these things that we are dealing with are a product of IFA definition. And of course, they say, hey, how? So I had to explain to them. And I said, why IFA definition had not moved in any way in order to improve and take over was that it was shrouded in secrecy. And that's why we have the concept of Baba Alawo, the keeper of secrets. So if you keep something secret, the Yorubas will say any god that you are worshiping and you do not take your children to go and worship such god, that god will die a natural death. So your children must know, and they must pass it to their children's children. So the concept of Ifa definition is started a long time ago, before the advent of technology, before the advent of even literacy. Ifa definition had been with them. As a matter of fact, for the establishment of the Yoruba land, the Yoruba race itself, it was predicted by Ifa definition. So the first person who was credited with Ifa was Orunmila. So he was a god of wisdom, knowledge, and direction. So he brought the concept of Ifa definition. So what is Ifa definition itself? It's just asking, seeking, looking for patterns, and telling stories around what the pattern is.
So it's basically pattern recognition and pattern explanation.
Yes, that's just one point.
Okay.
That's just one point of it. So Ifa definition has to do with the use of what we call opele. There are 16 beads that you put on a tray. So that tray is called okman. The bead is called opele. And you could also use ishin, cowrie, kernel, that you could use for definition. So, however, why Ifa definition didn't improve was, okay, how do I know that I have to put my hand at a particular angle to drop the opele? Then I will now start using my hand to shift the carry, adjust it to form a certain pattern. How am I not sure? That is gambling. And again, because of the secrecy that they put into it, they could not bring out the science in it to tell us these are the procedure of I did this, this is the reason, I did this, this is the reason, then it forms a pattern. Now, those patterns already have what is called prose. So we have 16 major prose, which is Odu Ifa, 16 major ones. Then when you have sub prose, you have 256 of them. Then you have two cowries that you use. They use hands like this to do two. Then you have the Opele, which is about the Opele is 18, the Odrifa is 16. Then you have so Odrifa to be 256 of them. Now, if you look at that critically, Ifa existed before the advent of computing, before the advent of Unhuman technology, before the advent of stored program concepts, and it was describing the working of computer itself. The question is, can't we investigate that this computer science we are doing was actually patterned after the concept of Ifa definition? Now, I teach first year students, but I think I taught them last year on the history of computing. And the first thing that we came across was Abacus.
Exactly.
In 1871 by China, by the Chinese. Then I asked them, was that the first thing that led to the history of computing?
What about Ifa?
So the issue is that once a lion is to write the history of a dog, then you don't expect to see the history of the dog at all. So the lion will just write about itself, and that is the end. And even the dog didn't even help by telling its own story by itself. It was relying on somebody else to tell his own story.
And one other thing, just to circle back on what you said about the children and the Ifa system being in secrecy and the children not coming in. So I was just thinking about it, that if it was not exposed to children, there's a tendency fresh ideas will not come into the Ifa system, because if we have the old Babalawo, the old people holding this, the fresh ideas from the new generation coming in is there. It's not going to come in.
That's correct. So it will not evolve.
It won't evolve. Yeah.
Now, that's one of the reasons why even the children of the Babalawo don't want to go into it. Why? The question is, of course, I had to work with a Babalawo. But, it got to a particular instance where he was talking about initiation. And I'm not going to get initiated. Because what is initiation about? I asked him. Is about enhancing your brain power to be able to recite 256 Odrifa without reading it.
Without a computer system to store it.
Without any, exactly. So you have like a granary put in your brain, and you just be fetching it and saying it out. That's how serious it is.
Wow.
So you see, so the question is that why can't you explain to me how will you put all those things in my brain and I'll be able to say it without reading from anywhere?
Is that true then?
It is true. That's why you say, okay, for instance, I learned a few of them, but you said, okay, when you want to recite, okay, Lodifa fún Orunmila, ìgbà tó ń bọ̀ láti odù, I can't recite it clearly, but you start reciting all those things and you'll be linking one level of iteration to the other, you'll be doing if then else, nested loop. You'll be using your data types in your brain without looking at anything. The question is that why didn't they explain how we're able to get that thing in my brain without my reading it?
How have they been able to do that?
That's why they have not been able to explain. And that's why it is shrouded in secrecy. And that's why it has not improved. There are technology that works that way. There are technologies that are capable. Okay, you store something on the memory or the hard drive. Using stored memory concept, you'll be able to pull it out and you display it. Is that not what they have explained in the process of putting something in your mind and you continue to recite it? Not only that, they will be able to not the prose alone. When they now see the pattern, they will now select the old way fast, not just reciting from. You will be picking it, maybe line this, link to line this. So they are doing a nested loop.
All in the brain.
In the brain. You see, that is what the Ifa definition has been practicing. Of course, I'm not in that field, but yeah, it's illuminated that you are even telling me now. So you see, that is what has existed in Ifa definition before now. But we are not breaking the code. We are not explaining to people who have advanced knowledge to explain, okay, this is what it means. Okay, when he was doing bere, say, why are you hurting him? Why are you hurting him? But he put it in, the blood stuff, it got inside, he stopped the chicken pox, and the person got in, and it was on the basis of what he did that they administered to people, and that was the cure. And the Sopana didn't come back again, because once you are inoculated, that is the end.
And unfortunately, because it's in secrecy, the next thing that comes to our mind, especially in this part of the world, and because of our base, well, don't let me say base thinking, we are not too, some people are not too
curious
and curious, we automatically link it to devil kind of thing.
So, what inoculation, is it not devilish? Let me even give you an instance. We're talking about data communication in one of the courses I was taking. I said, look, before we start speaking plenty grammar, let me tell you the advent of data communication. For some of you, of course, most of them were not born then, that when you were watching Abijah and the Ajo in those days, you just call him, Abijah, just say, Ajo Mungwe. That is a form of mobile communication, solid one, but you could not explain it. It was not as 1987 that they were showing those things that existed. It existed before him. That's why he was able to reincarnate it in some of drama. Somebody will be in the US, you just put one white cloth there, you go and meet by just use something to cover and say, whoa, if you don't remember, and you just see the child walking in on the street of US. Should we call him home? I say Pewale, just say, Ma Bonle, and that is it. Is it not Zoom we are using now? Hologram, the person will disappear and appear. Are we not using hologram now?
If only we can explain and give it a name.
Now we say, okay, there's one electromagnetic wave traveling in the air, and we are moving from mass to mass and getting this one. But you demonize what was actually the foundation of the technology you are propounding.
So where did we get it lost?
We got it lost in the place of secrecy. And as I said, the last point you raised is the most important. That secrecy is the issue. And because of belief system, I'm a Christian, and of course some people have their faith, we now believe that, okay, once you do this, when I was doing my research, I've published about other 2 papers on Ifa definition. In fact, we are in the process of doing something on the expert system that could work like Ifa definition, but it is intensive. So when you are looking at that, you have to go and meet Babalawo. How would you say that a Christian is going into a shrine? What are you doing there? Oh, so you too, you don't believe in God again, you want to go and meet Babalawo. But if I am not curious in knowledge gathering, even the preaching of my faith will not be effective. It was when I was studying Ifa definition I understand that the Ifa definition itself is pure. They believe in consequences, and they believe in action and consequences. They believe in you just doing good. Ifa will not support you to do bad. In fact, it will punish you if you want to hurt somebody and you are the person at fault. However, there now became some people who perverted the use of it. So even though you are the one guilty, they can still give you the positive. What I'm saying in essence is that a lot of things are gaggling us from investigating. Even those who have the knowledge, they are so docile that they don't want to even push harder to understand, okay, let me study what people are even saying. Is this not what we have been saying for a long time? Now, they were trying to do a particular technology on you ionize people's body, you pass them to a channel, then they appear in somewhere, they reassemble. But they found out that the more they deassemble somebody, most of the cells are getting lost in the trial. So they had to stop that technology. That has existed in Ifa definition before now. What is the concept of disappearing and appearing?
We now call it teleporting, right?
Look at, just because we will not give it a name there makes it devilish. We could not explain the step-by-step process, but that is not really true. The foundation of algorithm is in Ifa Divination, because it tells you this is the first thing you do. Wàá bọ́pẹ̀lẹ̀ sọ ọ̀pẹ̀lẹ̀ ní gbólóhùn, wàá dáfá, wàá tẹ̀fá. You will now sing those prose. So that is algorithmic method of solving problems. You look at pattern recognition. We started with steganography, information hiding. How did they start? What is Aroko? That is information hiding. It started long ago. Yeah, so when you look at the whole methods of Ifa definition, it's about algorithm. What about the pattern recognition? What about the decision support system? We can give them names now because the technology has evolved. We could not give them names before. It was devilish. Now we can speak with somebody on Zoom. We don't see it doesn't even exist in our brain as being devilish. So that secrecy has crippled the potential that Ifa would have had in the development of technology world over.
Even among us for a start.
Yes, the owners of this. You see, one of the research students I was working with, when I told her, look, this is what we are going to do, and we are going to go this way, she had to call her mom. The mom said, hey, you want to take my child to Ifa priest? I said, but I'm also going there together. And there's nothing that is going to happen. I'm going to defend that there. Nothing will happen. And by the time we finished the work, she wanted to go further to do a master's degree in that. But of course, work exigency just took her away from academics. So when those of us who are proponents of some of these things, we are not trying to look at it from the spiritual aspects. We are looking at it from the pure science. And if we're able to explain some of these things, we understand that just like Columbus say discovered America, they were Native Americans there. So they had already discovered it. In fact, they were there before he discovered it. So what did you discover? We are the source of these things. We were the proponents of this technology, but because our great-grandfathers were too careful and too secretive, they have lost their place in technology.
Do you find this discussion interesting? And what do you think? Comment below.